Hey Hodies, this is not actually the real intro, but I forgot to say something at the top of the video. This is your reminder that tomorrow, July 27th at 7:30 p.m. we will be doing Critical SASS live. That's 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would love to see you there. And I think I forgot to plug my Patreon at the beginning of this video, so if you want to support me on Patreon, patreon.com/hautemesstom. Okay, let's get into the actual video. Hi Hodies, welcome to my channel. My name is hautemesstom and thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you are new to my channel is all about loving my makeup collection as it currently is. That's where we'll leave it for the ethos today. I have 3 ethos to my channel, but that's the one we're actually going to be focusing on today. Here's what's happening. Here's what happened. It's Saturday morning. It's Monday morning now, but on Saturday morning, I was just sitting at my computer. I wasn't really doing anything. I had nary a goal. The only thing that I knew that I was going to do on Saturday was exchange a foundation for the correct shade, which I did end up doing. But in the morning, I just didn't know where I wanted the day to take me. And so what happened was that I found myself on Victoria Beckham's website and I was just adding things to cart. And I wasn't shopping. I wasn't going to buy any of it. I knew all that. I knew that already, right? There was not even like an inkling inside of me that said, today I want to buy something. Because as a matter of fact, I end up going to the mall where I can physically touch things. I don't buy anything. All I do is exchange the foundation for the shade that I wanted. That's all I ended up doing. I'm adding all these things to my cart, and then I just am like, what is this about? Let's unpack this. I wanted to feel like luxury, and I did not stop at Victoria Beckham. I went to Chanel. I went to Chantecaille. I even went to Bobbi Brown, which adding a full face to a Bobbi Brown cart was actually one of the most fascinating things for me. That company has a lot of interesting textures and very nuanced shades that I wasn't expecting to see in their arsenal, and so that was actually really, really kind of cool. But again, not on a journey to buy anything. And I think what happened is I just want to like touch and feel and use things that feel really luxurious to me. And we're going to satisfy that craving today. So what I have done is, from my collection, as it currently stands in this moment, I have pulled a bunch of products that feel really luxe. Now, just because they feel luxe doesn't mean they are actually the most luxe thing I own in that category. They might not be the most expensive thing I own in the category. In some cases, they are, but in other cases, it's not so much, where it's just like the luxury feel is just like the feeling. It doesn't necessarily have to be my most favorite product either. And so I will talk you through my choices as I am applying them to my face. We'll just like kind of put them on together. Let's just get started. I'm gonna start with my eyes. That's what I typically do. So I'm gonna be using the Atelier Eye Primer. And the reason I chose this one, well, this company's closing. Which is devastating because I just decided that I love this eyeshadow primer. But such is life, so I assume I will be on the hunt for a new one. The company still exists, and this one probably has almost kicked it. But the reality of it is, brands close. I don't want to buy a backup of this or want to buy another one of these because I won't be able to get it again. It's just eyeshadow primer, and like all of this is just makeup. So if anything gets discontinued, I'm not buying backups of it, just because I feel like this scare. So the reason I did choose this, of the eye primers that I've used, like out of any eye primer I've used, this packaging is one, super sleek, right? It just has the name and what it is. But the packaging, I don't know that it's weighted, but something about it feels more luxurious. I don't think it is anything other than plastic, or like maybe there's some metal components to it, but it just feels really nice. But this was kind of going up against the NYX glitter primer, which is not really luxurious. The Pat McGrath Intensifies, which is from a luxury brand, but the product itself does not feel luxurious in the hands. That's the part. The part is this part. It's like kind of the packaging. That's the luxe that I want to feel. Not so much like product. It's like the luxe experience of holding it, and in addition to that, also using it. But I picked all of this based on the packaging and the experience of like that aspect of things. Beyond that, if you are new here, I recently did a video talking about eyeshadow primers, and this one was my favorite one. but I do feel like it's really luxurious. The other thing that could have taken its place would have been the MAC paint pot, which does come in like a nice little glass jar. It's like much more elegant to have the wand, I feel. That's how I feel about that. So that's why I went with the Air Atelier. They're opened until the 31st, so if you were curious about trying this, now's the time. And I'm also not telling you to rush out to try Air Atelier just because it is my favorite. If you're not on the market for an eye primer, then you don't know. You don't need that. You don't need that. Let's move on to the eyes. So this one actually was a harder category than most. So I have a lot of luxury eyeshadows. So let me go through of all of the luxury brands in which I have eyeshadows from. Victoria Beckham, that was a good second. That was a good second or third. The Victoria Beckham eyeshadow smoky bricks, those smoky eye bricks, they are like nice and they're tiny, but they have weight to them. They have like grit to them. They like feel really luxury in the hands. However, the mirror has fallen out of mine, so that does take it down a few notches. It just like went a poof. I don't know what happened. It didn't break or anything. It just like fell out. I think it happened on camera, or I realized it on camera. It was kind of a moment. I don't even know what video that was in. So that was in consideration. Tom Ford quads. Now, I need to tell you that I actually was quite surprised the first time I got in a Tom Ford eye quad. The way they look on camera versus the way they feel in your hands is really different, right? You think it's going to be this weighted thing, but they're actually pretty light. There's like no weight to them, which makes sense because in theory, a Tom Ford quad is for the rich person on the go, right? You're throwing that in your bag. It has little tools that it comes with, which I always throw those away. I don't have time to keep track of those, and I'm never going to use them. That's not my makeup style. I will, even if I have a little bit of mini brushes, that's what I would sooner do. But I also don't reapply eyeshadow throughout the day. Like, that's just like not my journey. But they're not weighted. They don't feel luxurious. They're very pretty to look at. It's when you touch it, things get a little bit disappointing. I have a Chantecaille quad. Feel very similarly about the Chantecaille quad that I do about the Tom Ford quad. Looks stunning. Has a beautiful picture of a butterfly on it, and it's like really, really pretty. But when you feel it, it's like, where's the weight, right? Where's the reason that this quad of eyeshadows that are like this big, why was this $80-some? Like, it's missing part of it. Now, the eyeshadows are really beautiful. I like the eyeshadows inside. That is where I think the money is worth. However, that's not the experience I was looking for today. Natasha Denona, lovely product. You're paying for product when it comes to Natasha Denona because her packaging is not it. The packaging is not it, right? But what I love about Natasha Denona is a lot of other things, right? I love that I can remove the pans, move them around, make my own color stories, make my own That's what I love about Natasha Denona. So I don't need them to have that function, but like, it is a more expensive makeup brand. And the one I did not choose, which would have very likely been the one I chose, except this one caught my eye, the one that we're using today. But I have quite a few Mothership palettes from Pat McGrath. That is close, right? It's luxe, right? It's so pretty, so heavy, feels expensive while you're using it. But I must admit, my current bias against Pat McGrath did kind of make me go, I don't know that I really like want to use the Pat McGrath palette in this video. And then something beautiful and glorious happened. The Gucci Palette Beauty de You, I think that's what this is called. Yes, the Gucci Palette Beauty de You caught my eye. And I said, ooh, that's it. And there's something that, and like this wins out just by a little bit. It was going to be one of the Pat McGrath Motherships. And then this little stunner, I was like, oh yeah, I have that. And this is weighted. It is beautiful. It has this thing. But there's something about the shape of this and the way the experience of holding it and using it fills that luxe experience for me in a way that the Pat McGrath one doesn't. So what I'm going to do today is use this. And it has been quite a minute since I've used this palette, but I've been thinking about it recently. I really have. So I'm excited to use it. I do think it's going to be quite a simple eye, only because to fill the other categories up, because I'm going based on packaging and feel of use, I really couldn't be too picky about colors, right? Because not everything in my collection is like that. I have limited items in which to choose from to perform this task, to perform this, to feel this luxury. So I think I'm just gonna keep it like pretty smoky. I really wanted to use the blue, but I'm gonna be using pink on my cheeks. So no blue, no blue today. I'm actually hoping that this reinvigorates my love for this. And I don't think my love ever dissipated. It's just, I haven't used it in a while. And not only that, the Isomea palette has really been like star of the show for me. This palette came out, I bought it on my trip to Chicago, which was like part of my no-buy year, but I did make an exemption for one beauty item when I was in Chicago, when I was like creating the rules to my no-buy year. Well, my no-buy 6 months. I was pretty sure that it was going to be the item. I wanted to see it in person. So, I mean, a lot of people have had a lot to say about this palette, either positively or negatively, and here's what I will say. The pans are small, right? And like when you're thinking about this versus Natasha Denona, where you're getting like 2 grams in these like larger pans, and you have this, but like, would larger pans look right in here? I mean, it does. There is like a lot of area to be used, and I understand that, but there's still like, I don't know, I still feel like looking at this, even with the pans being as smaller than you expect them to be, having it in your hands is just, it's just really nice. I don't know what else to say other than that. And so I think I'm actually going to mostly be using some of the like the shimmer shades. Actually, I just really kind of want this all over my lid, and I might deepen it out with some of the mattes later, but I just think that I want that. That's how simple I want it to be. Like I said, it doesn't have to be complex to feel luxurious. In fact, luxury normally is just much less complex in application. And I don't always hold my palettes in my hand like this, but I feel like today I want to, just because I want to. It's part of the fantasy. I think I'm gonna take a little bit, I can't remember if this is black. Yeah, this black. And I am gonna just deepen out the outer corner a little bit, and I might just leave it at that. Like that might be it. That's just might be all we do. Perhaps I'll throw something on the inner corner, or maybe I'll just use the matte white on the inner corner. Okay, I do think I'm gonna take that matte white, and I just think I'm gonna, super simple, super easy, super luxurious. Now, actually with the face products, that is kind of where I have taken the most liberties, because they're products that are staples in my everyday makeup application that I really like to use, but they're not like super luxurious, but maybe the brands are. So let us start. I don't have that many primers, which is good. First and foremost, that's a good thing. But when I think of the one that feels the most luxurious in my hands, it's actually the Glowy Makeup Serum from Laneige. This bottle is glass. There's like this tincture dropper. It's really aesthetically pleasing, but it's not like the most, a lot of stuff happening on the packaging. If all of this wasn't on there, perhaps it would feel even more luxurious if it just was like Glowy Makeup Serum, Laneige, and then none of this stuff was on the back of it. But the reason that I chose this over the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base, which is another product I have, is that that's in a plastic container. There's nothing luxurious feeling about holding that product. While holding glass, having a little bit of that weight really makes this feel like much more luxurious. And the application method, which wasn't part of my reasoning for choosing it, there is something like nice about like, you know, dropping oil on your skin and just like working it into the skin. And then when you're done working into the skin, you just have like this beautiful glowy base. So that's what we're gonna do now. I mean, I just truly love the way my skin looks after I put that on. I should no, that would run through it so fast. It's like, man, that feels like something I want to put on my skin every day. It kind of boasts as it being something between skincare and makeup, but I like it as a primer as opposed to trying to use it as skincare. Now, I'm using this green color corrector from Chanel, but I think I would like to know that I'm only using this because this is the only green color corrector I have. So I have nothing else to use in its stead. There's no competition for it. But what I will tell you is I wish that this was more luxurious feeling. The tube of this is plastic. There's almost no weight to it. Probably more weight than other containers, but it's not like, there's nothing like, I don't know. If you told me this without this logo on top, if you were like, this is Tarte, this is whatever, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I believe that packaging wise. So this is just, I want this to be part of my makeup process today, but this doesn't really fit the bill, I think, necessarily for like fitting the feeling of luxury as far as like touching, but it does work beautifully. So there is that going for it. Let's move on to foundation. When I search my Makeup Mind Palace for the most luxurious foundation that I own, it was actually tough because the first thing that came to mind was my Chantecaille, because it's Chantecaille, but it's actually not that. The experience of like using it, like the experience of touching it, it's in a plastic container, much like my complaint about the Bobbi Brown vitamin enriched face base. It's like, while the product inside is lovely, 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 nothing about holding it and using it makes it feel luxury. The next thing in mind is the Merit Complexion Stick. However, while it is weighted, the packaging itself, while very sleek, doesn't speak to luxury to me. And I am currently testing a foundation that came in a glass bottle, and that would be my choice, but I actually just didn't want to use that foundation today. Full stop, period. So what I have come down to is the Surratt foundation, the Surratt Dewdrop foundation. This packaging, I have praise and qualms with it. What I love about it is that I've nothing like this, right? There's just like nothing like this. I don't know what the material is that this is made of. It might be a plastic, but it doesn't really like feel like a plastic, but I'm assuming that it's some kind of like lacquered situation. It's this beautiful, almost multi-chrome green to purple with like sparkles in it. It's like really pretty and appealing to look at. Also very sleek, arguably more sleek than the Merit packaging. However, some of my qualms with it, while we're on the topic, is that you can't see how much you have left, and the way that the product comes out of here is a little bit annoying. So it has this dropper, and there's a button on the top to dispense the product. So I have a mixing palette in front of me, but luckily for me, even though I think this is like my most luxurious packaging foundation, this is also my favorite foundation, so it'll be nice to use her today. I am gonna set my face. I do have another cream product to use. I've never used it over top of powder, but I've watched other people use it on top of powder, so we will see how that goes. That might bite me in the butt. But for powder, I have two loose powders. I have Laura Mercier and I have Pat McGrath. However, I don't know about you, loose powder doesn't feel really luxurious to me. Also, the containers, well, the container for the Pat McGrath one is really cheap. Like, it's really cheap. It's not great packaging, I have to say. And the Laura Mercier one, more sturdy, feels a little more luxury. But I'm gonna go with the Chantecaille, only because, like, the compact is cute. I wouldn't say that this particular design screams luxury, but of my powders, this is definitely the most luxurious feeling one I have. I've also done so much damage on it. I love that powder itself too. I recommend it if you are in the mood for a bougie powder, but it's not something you need. But yeah, I've been using it for quite some time. Actually, my relationship with it has grown quite a lot since my initial use of it. Like, I was like, is it doing anything? But now I'm a firm believer in it. I'm a firm believer in it. You know what I did? I do this. I had a concealer picked out, but I didn't use it. If you're new here, if you're watching this video and you're like, let me get the vibe of this person, here's the real vibe of me. I forget to put concealer on. Often. It's starting to feel like a lost step to me, like a step that's not important to me, as I often overlook it. This was sitting in front of me. I pulled out all of these products in advance, sitting in front of me. And I looked at the cream cheek, which is also sitting right next to it. And I was like, yeah, I can powder now. And I did. And here we are. So we are going to forego concealer. But I did choose, I can tell you the reasoning why I chose the Pat McGrath over my other concealers. This is in a glass container. There's something really luxurious about it. Also, it just has the logo on it. Very sleek. I haven't really used and abused this concealer too much, so I don't know if I was using it a lot over time, if the logo would eventually fade off. I could see that being a thing, but I can't speak to personal experience. All of my other concealers are in plastic containers, and they just don't feel as luxurious as holding this one in my hands does. I like to contour my face, and I have nothing that's in a beautiful, compact, and luxurious feeling. Unlike the other categories, I'm going based on brand name and formula alone. This is a depotted Kevyn Aucoin contour, so I'm gonna use that today, but this isn't really fitting the bill. I wish it did, but it doesn't. And I'm not even sure if I had the actual compact it came in, because this was from a palette of Kevyn Aucoin things, and I just depotted it. I'm not sure if I actually had the real compact that the Kevyn Aucoin contour powders came in feel luxurious. I have no idea. I've never touched one. I've never held one in my hands. I know that they're small. I know that they're not very large compacts. So that would be points away from me. And if I had a full size of the Rodial one, I think that would have been the winner, except Rodial discontinued their contour powder. Looks like there's a lot of things happening at Rodial. It looks like a lot of things are out of stock, and I don't know if they're getting rid of the brand altogether, getting rid of the makeup portion of the brand, because they also have skincare. But it makes me sad, because I actually really like that contour powder, and I was like, that could be the one. But I really like this Kevyn Aucoin one. I'm really actually just getting acquainted with it. I also have some contours in here from the Lunatic Cosmetics Labs contour palette, which I depotted. I didn't want to keep the contour palette anymore, so I took the two shades that I used the most, and then I passed on the rest of them. After contour, I like to bronze. You might think it'd be the Chanel. It's not the Chanel. That is plastic packaging. It doesn't really feel special other than the product inside. I feel like I'm buying the product inside. The packaging is nice, but it's not super nice. I have the Burberry one, and that one's suspiciously, it looks like it's really sleek, but when you have it in your hands, it's actually not that special. It doesn't really feel expensive holding the product in your hand. And the Natasha Denona Tan Bronze and Glow. Like I said, Natasha Denona's stuff is more performance-based rather than being a luxurious experience, holding the container and using it. So I had to go with Tom Ford. This is the Tom Ford Soleil Bronzer in O2 Terra, and this is the big one. So I'm wondering if I had the smaller compact, if I would feel this way, but there's something that feels really bougie when you open this up and you see it. And it's giving very 2016 YouTube. It's giving old school YouTube luxury vibes, and that brings me joy, even though I'm not a 2016 YouTuber. I tried to be, though. Another 2016 YouTuber thing, just 2016 YouTuber things, is this Hourglass brush, which I will be using to bronze. I think if you took this bronzer away from me, I would want to buy it again. I really actually like the product inside. There's a lot of problems, as this is the only shade they sell in this bronzer. And anytime they release limited edition bronzers, they're they're even lighter than this typically, which is a shame. But it's a really nice formula. It's really easy to blend. It's I think some might argue maybe too bronzy for me, but I famously love a heavy cheek, so I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. So now we are at blush, and this is actually something I've never done before, but I have seen other people do it and do it successfully. So I have the Westman Atelier. This is the shade Poppet, which is this hot pink. But as I continue to use this product and my relationship with it grows, because it wasn't perfect at first, it's actually, when you blend it out, it's not so hot pink, which is great, because like that's actually not what I'm super interested in. I thought I was when I bought it. I was like, ooh, hot pink, ooh, but it's actually a really wearable hot pink. And that sounds really weird for me to say, especially as someone who doesn't like to wear pink. If you know, you know. But the reason I chose this out of all my other blushes is that this packaging is unparalleled in my collection. Like it's weighted. It is top heavy. That's a little bit strange, and I think I've heard Hannah Louise Poston say that it is a little strange that it is like top heavy. Like it does just feel like it wants to fall over all the time, but it is weighted. It feels really nice in your, just feels really nice in your hands. Okay, so I have seen Michelle Wong put this over top of powder, so I'm actually gonna take my brush and I'm just gonna stipple it on and see what we get going here. Brave and bold to be doing something new like this on camera while I'm like, I want to talk about luxury and luxury experience, and I'm like, well, I could be messing everything up by just doing this one small thing. But yeah, actually that worked really well over powder, and I'm impressed. I continue to be pretty impressed with this particular product the more that I use it. They are just really nice products. For a highlight today, this one was actually an interesting, because I wanted to pick the Westman Atelier one, but then I remembered that I had this. This is from Pat McGrath. This was like a holiday release. When I tell you that I could throw this at you and hurt you, like it's like as heavy as a brick, this is weighted. And I actually get along with the product inside. It's like this really beautiful, I don't know, it's called champagne gold, but I don't know that that is how I would describe it. A lot of people didn't get on with this formula, so, but I quite like it. And I'm just actually gonna tap it into the skin. That is how I have found that I get the most payoff. And I'm also kind of just like putting it over top of Pop It and just like giving us some shine. This highlighter is actually really subtle when you use it with a brush. And I mean, it's still subtle even as I'm like tapping it into my skin. But it's like this beautiful glow. Well, I'm not sure it really complements the look what we're doing today. It's really pretty, and I really like it. I'm going to take a clean eyeshadow brush, because I really don't have, this is really strange, I don't really have a like a proper highlight brush. I just wanted to like smooth the edges there just a little bit. This is like just an incredibly dense, a dense product, and it's something that, well, I don't often use. I'm always happy when I do bring it out because it gives me that luxury feeling. And that's what we are up to today. I am gonna throw a little bit of black coffee from Pat McGrath. I don't know that I can say that this eyeliner is like more luxurious than the next, because I would really have to say that when it comes to eyeliner, it's mostly formula. I can say also this, that I bet there are some really beautifully packaged eyeliners that come in the twist up, but I actually prefer the pencil over like twist up eyeliners. I'm gonna spray my face with Fix Plus and then we will come back. I only have MAC Fix Plus. It is like the finishing spray that I use, and I'm not really curious to explore others. I really like the way that this works. I like the mister on it. The mister is actually really like, I really like the mister. I like Fix Plus. It could come in fancier packaging, but honestly, this one's like 100% about the magic that happens inside, the way your face looks so perfect after you've sprayed it. And you know, I always spray way too much. It's just a bad habit, but it has like a nice little blurring effect that it does, and it sets everything and makes it just feel more like one with your skin, which I love. I don't use setting spray for like extreme longevity. That's like not always my gig. I'm gonna do my lashes first. Much like with Fix Plus, whatever the mascara I'm currently using is just the mascara that I'm using. So I've been using the Isamaya. While this is like luxury product, right? This is an expensive mascara. I don't know that it really is like something that I'm gonna say like is like a super luxurious feeling in my hand. Like I'm not gonna attribute that to this. That's not really how I feel about it. I really like the product inside, but it's not one of those things where I'm like, this is the most luxurious mascara I've ever owned, because I don't know that that's even true. Honestly, I don't know that any mascara I've ever owned has felt like super luxurious, weighted, beautiful in my hands. Mascara is applied, and I am ready for lip. I've actually pulled 3 because I couldn't decide, but I pulled 3 because this really is gonna come down to a lip that's gonna match my look. So if I were to pick the one lipstick that I have in my collection that is the most luxurious feeling, is the Bobbi Brown Luxe lipstick. Now this packaging is beautiful, and the logo on top embossed, ooh, and it's like super weighted. Not only that, the formula inside is really beautiful, but as you can see, I have this vibrant orange shade of the Bobbi Brown Luxe lip color. I don't want to do orange lipstick today. I also pulled out this packaging. This is limited edition packaging from YSL, but their components feel luxurious even outside of it, but this is like a stark red, which is also not where I'm going, but it is also really nice packaging. And what's interesting is I really normally like the magnetic packaging when it comes to lip color, when it comes to like bullet lipsticks, but neither one of these have a magnet in them. So what I had decided, because I kind of knew the color story where I was going to end up, as ended up using, we're gonna use Gucci, a Royal Scandal, which if you're new here, not a tumultuous relationship with, but I don't know that I believe in Gucci lipsticks like a lot of the other people in my sphere really like Gucci lipsticks, which is okay. We are all allowed to have a different opinion. But this packaging is really beautiful. It is not as heavy as the other two, but it is still weighted. But like that beautiful logo on it is so nice. And then you have Gucci embossed. And this does really make me feel like a baddie whenever, like if I were like out, like let's say I was out to dinner and I needed to reapply my lipstick and I pulled this out, I'd be like, yeah, everyone's looking at me, because why wouldn't they be? I am gonna line my lips with the Pat McGrath lip liner in Ground Control, just to add a little dimension, and we'll apply Gucci. Now for a Royal Scandal. And that's it. My luxurious face done and dusted. I actually, as I was applying the Gucci lipstick, and I was like, the Mare lipsticks do kind of feel luxe though. But this is definitely more luxurious. There's no like plastic to this component, whereas like most of the Merit lip component is acrylic, but it still feels really dense, and the packaging is really beautiful. In fact, most of my lip product probably could qualify as a luxurious experience, but I have a lot and have used Pat McGrath lipsticks for a while, so like the allure of using them is not as like luxe to me as these other lipsticks that I pulled out. That's why I ended up doing the thing that I did, right? Because sometimes just because we've had something for a while, it can feel a little bit old hat. But this is the look. I mean, actually, I think I look really good. Even without concealer. Actually, I'm kind of glad I skipped concealer. Maybe I need to like get rid of all of my concealers except for one. Let me zoom you in so you can take a look at the skin. I feel pretty, I feel gorgeous, and I feel stunning. I appreciate you all so much for going on this journey with me. I feel like I have fulfilled what Saturday me was like clinging on to. Saturday me was like, we want to just touch all of our very nice things. And I did that. I managed to accomplish that today. And I'm very thankful that I did it. I should have said this at the top of the video. So I feel like I'm gonna have to edit myself back in. Don't forget that Critical SASS is going to be tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is already on my channel. You should be able to like find it, add reminders or whatever if you go to like the live section of my channel. I hope to see you there. Let's talk about makeup, make fun of all these new releases. It's gonna be a great time. And if you are not already subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you subscribe and also see you at Critical SASS Live tomorrow. Don't forget to like this video, and I'm also on Patreon if you would like to support me there. Thank you again so much for watching. Remember to follow your haute and you will find me. I will see you in my next video. Bye. For